Raymond Torregano III, and I like to tell people my entire adult life that I've been in the beauty industry of some sort. Entered cosmetology school as a teenager, and yeah, I've been doing hair ever since then. That went on to me being a barber initially, and then into independent contracting as a hairstylist. And I had a pretty unique career in that I was a very early in age salon owner, right? So in my late 20s, after some years of being a platform artist for companies, traveling, had put a little money aside, and I knew that I didn't really fit as a stylist. I had worked at a ton of different salons, and just like you got to leave your mother's house, I knew that it was time, okay, maybe I need to get my own space. So right at about 28, signed a lease, had no idea what I was doing, but went into salon ownership and did that for about 10 years. Then after that, a lot of things change, you grow, you learn, did some amazing things, award-winning salon. But right at the 10th year, I knew that it was more. I had been introduced during that time to the internet. I like to tell people that kind of a silent partner with me the entire time I had my salon was the internet. 2006 I opened, and I started understanding a lot of the words we use today, like content creating and sharing, and how powerful video could be. That literally was happening at the same time that I was running the salon. So right at that point, I wanted to transition into that space, and my wife and I sat down, a lot of tears, a lot of decisions, and we chose then to launch an education and consultant company directly primarily to the beauty industry, where we would talk about how can we build better business? How can we build better branding, understanding how to embrace technology and the internet, and ultimately people to have a balanced lifestyle, knowing that that was just as important to have great life as it was to have great business. So that's my bio seemingly even today. I've been doing this since I was 19. So again, lifelong in the industry, but I've had a bunch of twists and turns in my contribution to the beauty game. Wow. So not gonna say I'm the absolute most unique person to talk about that, but I'm definitely one of them. I remember it was 2009, and at the time I was producing an event in town. It was a fashion show, and I had footage from that show. And one of the people that helped me with the show took this footage, bear with me, I'm gonna throw back right now. It was on a DVD. Whoa, what are those? But it was on a DVD, and he showed it to me online. And I said, how did you do that? Well, have you heard of this thing called YouTube? And believe it or not, in 2009, I didn't have a real relationship with YouTube at the time. It was just you get 10 minutes. There was no smartphones, guys, not for real. And he had taken that footage and converted it over to the internet. And it was like a light bulb went off. Up until that point, I had been in the industry over 10 years, in parking lots, at events, at this place, passing out a flyer, talking to people in person, which can be overwhelming and exhausting. And something about when I saw that he could show this video online, which I thought at the time was just talking to people locally, I said, I could use that. I knew early, even if I didn't understand marketing, social media, because we weren't even really using that term at the time, but I understood that this was a way for people to see what I was doing, how I was doing online at a very, very early age. So I launched back then a YouTube channel. And my first video is still up. You can look for it, and it went something like this. Hey guys, this is Ray. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. And people started seeing it around town. People started seeing it a little bit further out of town. And then more and more, I realized it was reaching past the city limits. This was a first. Up until that point, you had local hair shows, we had events where we would network, but nothing online that didn't really exist. About a year in, I'll fast forward. I was at an event. Girlfriend at the time, wife now. We were at an event, and I was uploading YouTube videos. And there was a girl that saw me from a distance, and she walked up on, this is 2010. And I was looking at my girlfriend, wife now, yo, I don't know her, I don't know what she's, and she walked up to me, she was like, Rhythm Hair Studio? Torregano, right? I want you to wrap your mind around this, guys. This is Orlando, Florida. I live in Columbus, Georgia. She told me there she was from Jacksonville. That was a lot in a year. And she told me every video that I uploaded. She remembers the verbiage. She thought of them like episodes. She was watching from her position as a learning leader at the Paul Mitchell Academy. I even tried to introduce my girlfriend, and she was like, oh, that's Keisha. I've seen her on the videos. Everything changed that day. Everything changed. I got in a car, and I remember talking to my wife, girlfriend then, and saying, well, people can see me everywhere. They can see me all over the country. And I was starting with education back then, but I still was thinking very local and around town. I wasn't thinking cross states, cross countries. I came back, and again, this is over a decade ago, and I started doing a series of classes inside of my salon. And the suggestion from my girlfriend was, you should invite your YouTube subscribers. It's unheard of. I had no peers that was online, because the thought back then was the game is sold, not told. We're not supposed to be online as a professional. We're not supposed to be giving away the secrets, but I knew that wasn't true. I definitely knew it's not true today, but even then I knew that this was something new. The world was going to be sharing and exchanging knowledge and going to be learning, and we weren't exempt as professional hairdressers. As a matter of fact, I firmly believe that we kind of missed an opportunity to get there first and really establish our credibility and our authenticity as professionals. But I launched a series of classes where all of the attendees were from out of town in my salon in Columbus, Georgia, and it changed my entire perspective of the business. When I look at it in hindsight, it probably was a part of me knowing that shortly after that I would even close the salon, because it was constant. I was seemingly a full-time hairdresser, but at nighttime I was creating videos. I was connecting with people in the West Coast, in Canada, around the world. Somebody contacted me from Colombia, and I was like, wow, Maryland? South Carolina? She said, no, Colombia. This is in 2011, and it just snowballed from there. I took a break after I got married in 2012, but about 3 years after that, I knew I was done. And I had finished what I needed to do as a salon owner, and I didn't really feel like behind the chair is where I wanted to be anymore. I definitely wanted to still be in the industry, but I wanted to merge the two. I wanted to talk to them about the digital. I wanted to talk to them about what I saw with social media and branding. I wanted to talk about how you can drive business past your city limits. I wanted to talk about things like leveraged income and passive income and things that I was hearing in other industries I didn't hear in beauty. So we, as a couple, we launched Torregano Education, which is a consultant and education agency committed primarily at the beginning to those in the beauty industry. We did traditional classes for about a year because that's what I knew. I knew to do classes in person, but I'll tell you, that could get overwhelming as well for one person or two people. So we're trying to figure out a way, how could we merge digital, the intimacy of in-person learning, but with the reach of digital? And we launched in the fall of 2016 an online academy for hairdressers. And that's significant because it's yet again a way for us to morph and change and really push it forward. So without talking in great detail about the academy, the online membership subscription, it's more about, this is our time. This is our world. And we love platforms like Instagram because it's a photo platform. It is, we get a chance to show our artistry, but anytime I hear a hairdresser or a beauty professional say things like, I don't do the internet, or I don't do social media, it's not really my thing, or I was a hairdresser before the internet, I used to cringe and try to combat it, but I try to figure out the very brass tacks way that I can say, listen, this isn't a trend. This isn't like gonna pass. This is, although cliche, the absolute new normal of this industry. So make it a part of what you're doing. Think of yourself as a beauty professional that also is in the media industry. There's no way around it. And the Gen Xers or the Gen Zs and the millennials, they understand that. So a big part of the industry I'm talking to is maybe my demo, 40s, 30s, even late 20s, that think of this as kind of an option. It's not really an option. So I'm excited to talk to people to let them know. And people are coming around, and we're getting on platforms a lot sooner and understanding that we can tell our story the exact same way as a professional, but we got to do it understanding that people are walking around with this smartphone, looking at this internet 24 hours a day. We can't afford not to be there.